Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Curriculum Subcommittee meeting of the Brookline Public Schools. And today is Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes from December 10th. I move those minutes. Do I have a second? Jesse, thank you. Helen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Stephen will be coming, but he's going to be a few minutes late, he said. So our order of business really is about, and this is kind of a fun thing to do every year, we look at the new courses for the high school. And it's timely because of the course catalog. So today, I think we have 4 courses I think we're going to talk about. So the first one up is, if it's okay, I think we'll do the construction, a tour through the trades. Britt and Ed, are you taking that, telling us about it?
Yep, I'll start. So I have with me Ed Weiser, who is former coordinator of science, now a teacher in career and tech ed. Also, Robin Fabiano is here. Ed is the person who will teach the course if it is approved. Robin will speak to how the course fits into the larger student support vision at Brookline High. Before I kick it to Ed to talk about the class, I'm just going to orient you to the department. Some of you I know may not have been on curriculum subcommittee when members came to Brookline High to hear about career and tech ed. So we are both one of the 3 elective departments at the high school alongside visual and performing arts. We also receive state funding through the Perkins Grant as a vocational program. So we live in a duality of space. We're a very efficient program for being as lean as we are. More than 70% of students enrolled at Brookline High are currently seated in a career and tech ed course. And we track pathway participation by looking at, of all those seats, who is taking 2 or more courses in sequence. So right now we have 731 students taking their second course in a sequence in one of our pathways or one of our disciplines. And that number has just been steadily increasing over the last many years. So within the last 5 years, we've seen a 65% increase in the number of students who are enrolled in our pathways. So that tells us as a team that more and more students, instead of opting to dabble and take a little bit of lots of things in career and tech ed, want to take experiences that are related to each other in a subject matter that is of interest to them. So we as a team are agile to the needs of students. We're thinking and working on stronger pathway experiences and how to think about both what courses we offer and what experiences we attach inside of and alongside those courses. So that's part of the vision that's happening in the department while we are thinking of the course that you're about to hear about. I'm going to kick it to Ed to let him tell you a bit about the course, and you'll hear from Robin next and me again at the end. Ed, would it be helpful to have your document up while you speak or no?
Yeah, I have it right here. Oh, yes, that one. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, so I'll share my screen so folks can see it while you chat.
Love it. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all. I'm here to talk to you about this new course in construction. I'll start by noting the key differences between woodworking and construction. Woodworking has been going on for many years, but it focuses on the traditional creative woodworking, and as the other new course is going to be more of a comprehensive multidisciplinary introduction to the broader construction field. So in classic creative woodworking, students typically focus on artistry of woodworking, crafting beautiful functional pieces of furniture and decorative items. It's all about learning to use the woodworking tools efficiently, effectively, and understanding the properties of different woods and the satisfaction that comes from turning raw wood into a finished, polished product. In construction, a tour through the trades, I hope you like the title of the course too, by the way, feedback welcome, will be a course that offers a much broader exploration of the construction industry as a whole. It's designed for students who are not just interested in woodworking, but in understanding the fundamental skills required for success in a wide range of building trades. In this course, students will gain exposure to 5 key trades: plumbing, electrical, HVACR, masonry, tiling, and carpentry. The main goal is to provide students with an understanding of how each trade works, from building and repair to maintenance and troubleshooting and to demolition, because we need to take it all down. Other goals include showing students the sequence and rationale for like how buildings are built, the process along the way, learning to use the construction equipment and applying their physics knowledge to construction as well. So students will learn a lot more than just how to use tools and cut wood. They'll learn how to interpret technical drawings, safely handle electrical components, install plumbing systems, understand HVAC systems for homes and buildings too. This course emphasizes problem-solving, teamwork, and communication skills, all essential for working on job sites. Students will even gain insights into entrepreneurship, giving them tools to think about how to start their own construction business as well. We're also hoping to integrate some VR simulations to complement the hands-on work. For example, students will practice framing a whole house from subflooring to rafters, troubleshooting electrical and plumbing electrical circuits and plumbing using VR, which allows them to make mistakes in a safe, controlled environment. We're also hoping to do some field trips to local job sites, bring in some guest speakers, explore sustainable energy solutions, and health and safety practices as well. So in summary, while a traditional creative woodworking course focuses on artistry and woodworking, Construction: A Tour Through the Trades is a more expansive course offering students an opportunity to explore multiple trades, learn about diverse skills that are required in order to succeed in the construction industry. So it'd be for students who enjoy hands-on learning, problem solving, and want to gain a foundational skills across the trades. So there you go. Thank you.
Right, I'm going to kick it to Robin and then we'll take questions at the end. Is that okay? Okay, Robin, and then I'll close us out and take questions.
Great. So there's been a working group comprised of administrators and coordinators and deans, and we've been focusing on students who are at risk or not on track to graduate in the traditional 4 years. Last year, we identified over 80 students. This year, over 70. About 50% of those those students are on IEPs, and 45% of them report a lack of belonging to our high school. Both with direct reporting and anecdotally, we've heard feedback from students that they don't feel connected or see a value in the courses that are in front of them, and don't have a vision for post-grad. We've also heard direct requests for more opportunities for trades and other similar courses. Because Brookline High School is not a true vocational school, although you get vocational funding, and we have no true partnership with a vocational program, and because seats these days in vocational schools are 2 students to every 1 seat in the member districts, even if a student wanted to petition the school committee to go to a local vocational school, they wouldn't have the opportunity to do that. So looking creatively at our curriculum and our programming is a way for us to move towards closing the programmatic gaps that we have, helping students find a larger vision to themselves, and also creating more pathways for students that might result in credential opportunities that maybe are a different pathway than a traditional post high school and college experience. And so this is just one way that our group is hoping to solve sort of the problem of students not either feeling belonging or on track to graduate.
So in closing, one thing that I know you will want to hear as members of the school committee is that this is a budget neutral request. So we will be able to just run fewer sections of woodworking and run 1 to 2 sections of this course. Most of the tools we have in-house, any additional supplies like the VR experience Ed is describing would be purchased with funding from our grant. So there would be no new funding needed to be able to deliver this experience. And one of the really intentional design elements of the course is a partnership with post-secondary institutions. So even if you were to say no today and we weren't able to run the course, this will have already been a worthwhile endeavor. The course has given me an excuse to cold call a bunch of potential partners. And not only have every single one of them said, yes, of course, we'll come and be a guest speaker. Yes, of course, we'll host a field trip. Many of them are now engaged in conversation with me about how to build more robust partnerships from here. So the Peterson School, which students may meet in our electrical unit, already is talking to me about, could we stack a summer experience after this course between junior and senior year for a student who knows they want electrical? We have already been asked to become a premier partner with the Franklin Cummings Tech is the new brand of the school, and Franklin's Cummings Tech has connected me to their early college person, and that team is, as soon as next fall, willing to welcome us into a pilot so students who are interested in trades could spend senior year at Franklin Cummings Tech. That, of course, is not a budget neutral move for us, though, but there is a large amount of state funding and grants. So it might be an endeavor I go on to try and seek grant funding so that a student in junior year who takes this class meets in the HVAC unit a teacher at Franklin Cummings Tech and hears from a panel of people about their co-op program, and then we are able to build towards having that same student in their senior year do some kind of early college experience so they can be in co-op by the summer after their senior year, and in the first year of their college year be working towards finishing their associates. As Robin named, this is a gap in our programming. I do a needs assessment every year when I have to go through the process of writing our grant. And I hear from all kinds of stakeholders, more things like the restaurant, which is our only remaining true vocational program. And we are an incredible high school with a college style course catalog. So all of our other things are great too. Python and AP Computer Science, Java, and Psychology of Marketing, which I teach. It doesn't mean that our programming existing is not strong. It just means we need to, within the model we have, be thinking critically and creatively about being able to meet some of the needs that we have. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to take questions, hopefully not too many because my colleagues are on the call and they're up next. But I think I see both Helen and Jesse with their hand up.
Yeah, so I'm going to welcome Stephen. I hope you were able to just jump in, Stephen. I'm glad you're here. And let's go to Jesse and then Helen. Jesse, your question or comment?
Can't hear you.
I love it, and I wanted to ask Ed if school committee members can sign up for the course. No, just sort of kidding. But I'd certainly like to visit it and partner if there's anything I can do to help. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, Charlie
Wonderful.
Simmons already said that building department folks will help us out too. So
Yeah, I can.
with Charlie someday.
It's just total goodness. That's great.
Thank you.
Great strategy. Thank you.
You're always welcome. It'll be hard to find because it would be in the basement of the UA building.
Oh, we'll
The
find
old
you.
auto shop.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Helen, go ahead.
Sure. First of all, thank you for this comprehensive explanation. You really did a great job, including the cost, which is really wonderful. I have a couple questions, but just a little bit of history because I can't resist doing this. I don't know if any of you were around when students built a house on by the UA building. You remember that, Jen? It was fantastic. I think you had kids from every level there involved in it, and I would hope. I guess one of my questions is: it's not going to be just for certain students; it's anybody can apply, right?
Correct. We're going to strategically look at that list of students that Robin is describing and work with deans to see which juniors and seniors might be thinking about the trades and how might we try and intentionally school them.
I would also talk with STEPS.
For sure. Yep.
They would definitely know some of those students. That was one question. Second question, why do you have to give up a section of woodworking? Ed isn't a woodworking teacher. You are?
Yep.
Since when? I'm sorry.
So, since September.
Keep up, Helen. Come on.
I'm sorry.
You
I
gotta keep up.
didn't see that. It wasn't written anywhere.
Yeah, no, but it is confusing. Britt's actually in the room 204 right now. Right behind one of her shoulders is the skeleton that I have in medical careers.
Right. I
During
know
that
you do
class.
that.
Over her other shoulder is a diagram built by a robot. So that was some beautiful artwork that I just had the kids just see if you can make something drawing. So I'm doing medical careers, robotics, and one woodworking.
Whoa. Okay. Will there be woodworking still?
Yes.
Okay.
The one thing that I have tried strategically to do in my hiring, because we are such a lean department, is hire folks who can teach multiple disciplines.
Sure.
Nearly every one of our pathways is over requested. So there's more demand than there are seats for kids who want into our classes. So one way I'm trying to write that is by having the teacher of business also be able to teach architectural design, also be able to teach intro to engineering, and Ed is the Swiss Army knife of the career and tech ed department. We're lucky to have him.
So, and the third thing, and then I'll shut up. Ed, I'm happy to connect you to people from the Pierce School Project, because we actually have the project, one of the project managers, I don't know what his exact title is a Pierce School graduate and a high school graduate, Alex Rozek. I don't know if anybody remembers him or not, but I think it would be a great combination. He might get somebody to shadow him, to talk about the construction trade. He works for Consigli. I know that the town is looking for HVAC, 2 HVAC technicians this year. So this is really a needed niche, and I'm glad we're doing it. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
If I could just follow up, Helen, I wasn't here when they built the house, but I was here when we had to get rid of the house.
Right, we had to find a
I will
place.
say that the first time Ed came to me with some of the details, I'm like, you better not be building a house, Ed, because I'm not going to dismantle another house.
That's why I said a full sentence was "and demolition." We're definitely going to teach the kids
Thank
how
you.
to take it apart.
Nobody thinks about taking the things apart that they build.
Well, but they may be able to get some laborer positions even at the Pierce School over the summer. You know, there's things that, can happen if you make connections with the right people. And I think Alex would be the right person to talk to. So I'll put you guys in touch.
That's great. Yeah. So kudos to Britt and for her team for really coming together. She's trying to create these positions and make for really coherent pathways. And this is a giant step in that direction, and really pulling that program together and taking the disparate elements and making them work in a sequence is brilliant. The school obviously supports it wholeheartedly.
I just had a couple of questions. Is this a full year class? It's a half year? What?
Half year is what we're thinking.
Okay. You've got a lot to do in a half year.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do half year beginning and a half year advanced or something like that?
We may build towards thinking of that. One of the constraints that we see often with electives at the high school is that full year electives are a greater conflict with other scheduling needs. So we don't see as high of requests for full year classes because it conflicts with wellness or other things. But it's possible that this may work. And again, we're most interested in thinking of stackable experiences that are more specialized. So how might a kid go from this class to really narrow in on something in electrical or something in HVAC or some summer work experience? So part of it is about living through, I think, a year of seeing how it goes to determine, is that hypothesis tested accurately, or do we need another semester that's a follow-up course? Ed, is that a fair summary? Do you want to add?
That is a fair summary, and I think there are a lot of reasons to have it as a semester course, but I think building that as the foundational course and seeing what we can do in the future as we build the program is going to be the goal. That's why we thought it would just be good to be able to schedule it and fit it into that first semester.
I just had another question. You're covering a lot of things, but I didn't see painting. Did you consider painting? Are you not going to do any painting? That's such a good skill to have.
It is. And so drywalling is in there. Finishing could be. The hard part is if you we did give links to the Department of Education standards, and they're also, if you dig deeper, painting is actually much on the decline because so many people go to Home Depot and Lowe's and just figure it out and do it themselves. So it's a declining, that's in the construction trades, it's one of the ones that's declining in terms of the future outlook.
Right.
Part of actually thinking it's your own skill, because you can save a lot of money if you can paint your own.
And we have 2 painters on staff, in the building department full time.
I'm just curious. That's all. It was nothing important.
Yes, it is my intention to do that. Actually, that was one of my first jobs as a kid, was being a painter's apprentice. So yeah, love to teach them how to do it fast and.
Yeah, and as Ed said, one of the things we did in the conceptualization of the course was what is, core to the DNA of a vocational experience is looking at labor market demand and looking at how labor market demand aligns with opportunity for students. So It certainly doesn't mean that painting opportunities don't exist, and that if a student took the class because they wanted to know exactly what they needed to know as a homeowner one day, that they wouldn't benefit from that skill. But as Ed said, in terms of what is being prioritized based on employment outlook, painting is not in the top of the trades.
Fair enough, fair enough. Stephen, you have a question or comment?
Yeah.
I just wanted
Um,
to follow up with something,
oh,
but
go ahead, Helen.
you sure?
Yeah.
Just one other, I think you said in your write-up that you were going to connect with the town, with Charlie Simmons, and okay, fine, that's it.
I'm sorry to be late, everyone. I just wanted to follow up, Britt, with you on what you just said last on labor market demand. I'm just wondering, I feel like I asked this last year too, and I'm just really curious to know what ongoing ways you have of keeping up with labor market demand, but also specifically what like geographic catchment areas you look at when you look at labor markets. Are you looking at Brookline? Or are you looking at the state or regional or something larger when you prepare coursework?
So we do it in a few ways. We work with Mass Hire, and we have a Youth Works coordinator, so that's someone that I could rely on if I had questions. And even if they don't have labor market data, they can go to work at the state level to get labor market data to us. Typically, it's regional, so we are placed in like the greater Boston region. We don't have anything that's as niche or micro as Brookline. When I was our business teacher, I would go to the Chamber of Commerce and talk to local businesses about projects that I could be doing in class. So certainly if anyone has any ideas and wants to be in touch with me offline about getting to know the Brookline labor market better, that would be helpful. And then we have advisory committees, though we don't meet with the level of rigidity or meet all criteria that we would if we were a Chapter 74 program. An advisory committee is meant to be an employment partner, a post-secondary educational partner, students and stakeholders getting together to say, what is this pathway now? What are we seeing out in the world, and how should that inform what we're doing in our classes? So again, I teach the business classes. Like I ask, for instance, this week I was on the phone with a Brookline parent who works in marketing research. So I was talking to her about, in my research unit, what we're doing and how she is seeing in her work some of those same skills show up. And then she's now giving me a case study of something that could land alongside a project I do. So that's like kind of normal for the way we think about curriculum design. But again, I think an opportunity space would be looking at Brookline data more specifically, if anyone were to have that.
That's so cool. The related question I have for you is, do you guys do any alumni tracking? And if so, what have you learned over the years about I'll just stop there. What kind of alumni tracking do you do?
Gabe is laughing at me because I was just lamenting the need for more help with alumni tracking. So the good news is I found the right tool for us to begin doing meaningful alumni tracking. The harder news is I don't have the right resources in place to be able to navigate alumni tracking. Most folks in roles like mine have a counselor assigned to them to help with some of the employment piece. But what we're trying to do and build towards is being able to both push opportunities to students while they are enrolled in our pathway. So a student in our computer science pathway would opt into this communication, and I'd be able to text or email through a database. Here's some summer opportunities, or here's a event going on at the high school with a programmer who's coming to visit. But that same tool would hold them into the future. And then we would be able to bring them back to our programs, or to allow students here to connect with alumni who were in the pathway when they were there. Currently, it's happening very informally through teacher relationships. So for instance, in our engineering course, we have a teacher who has been teaching engineering for quite a while. An alum who is at Converse as a materials engineer comes back in a shoe design project and talks to students about like what it means to do materials engineering at Converse. But that's all because that teacher is still here and can build the connection. So we're trying to build that out. I just need to figure out how to find the time and capacity to do data entry to the max of all of our.
So it's really this is really manpower that's needed. It's not like you lack the tools for it so much as it's just a huge effort.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just the getting the data managed. Robin, did you want to jump in?
I just want to say in special education, we track student outcomes through indicator 14, and we collect data, contact information, and then send out a questionnaire 1 year post graduation or turning 22 or dropping out to determine whether students are continuing their education or in a job. Unfortunately, we got like 10 responses last year. Part of that is similar to manpower, just in terms of keeping up with, following up with both mailing and emailing and calling and trying to collect that information. But it's something on our radar to do to a greater degree this year. So we could report on that as well if we get a large enough response.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in because we have 3 more courses to get through. Helen, I'm going to let you have the final word. And
Thank
then
you.
Betsy, I believe we're going to vote on this. Is that right, Betsy?
Sure, we can take a vote to recommend that the full school committee adopt
Okay.
it this week.
Okay. Go ahead, Helen, and then we'll take a vote.
Okay, just a quick question. Do we still have the college counselor at the high school? That position?
We have a 0.5 college counselor and a PAL, is that right? Or is Lenny a
0.5 college counselor, 0.5 career counselor,
Same person?
different people.
Huh.
So I've got Lenny Levinson as our college counselor and Kate Kennedy is our career counselor.
I mean, maybe that could be somebody that could, I'm sure they're busy, but this might fit in very well with their position. Anyway, I'll make the motion
Go ahead, Helen.
gladly make the motion to start this course.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Jesse. Helen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. I can't wait to come visit, Ed. It'll be fun. Okay, we're going to move on because we have 2 more and I don't hear which order it's in. So we've got a social study. We actually have, the next one in line is the contemporary American history. So Jen, is that okay, John, if we do that? And then we come, okay, thank you. So Jen, go ahead. The floor is yours. Contemporary American history, social study.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody again. Yes, I'm proposing a course. Actually, interestingly enough, there was even a question as to whether I needed to come to subcommittee, only because this has been a very popular course at Brookline High School, was in the course catalog for literally decades. And then it kind of, I wasn't the department chair when it came off of the course catalog, but I think there was a year where it lost enough enrollment because we were offering so many different electives. And then just didn't make it back in for whatever reason. But this past fall, I asked social studies teachers to pitch to the department courses that they really want to teach and that they really want to see as part of our course of study. And I specifically asked teachers to think about our program 9th through 12th. Our electives are almost always for 12th graders, although there have been years where, like, sometimes a junior here or there will join. But the overwhelming winner of this pitch, we had 5 courses pitched, was, and this is 90% of the department voted in favor of bringing this course back, and with a very good reason, I think. Fun fact, we don't offer a history class for the senior year, which is really weird because we teach history 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. And then the senior year, we're like, guess what? Social studies is a lot of different things. And then there's literally everything but history. And so the teacher who was pitching this class, which, by the way, we don't know who the teacher is going to be, but this was a teacher who took it upon themselves to be like, we really need to think about the fact that we don't have a history class. That was a big part of the pitch, was kind of like, kids are learning these incredible historical thinking skills. And then their senior year, there's for the real kid who loves history, really wants to do historical analysis, primary source reading, that sort of thing, we literally don't offer them anything. So the idea was to bring back a course that would be high interest to specifically kids who really like history, and that would also be somewhere there might be other types of students who might enjoy this course as well, because what we're pitching is a contemporary United States history class. This typically, in United States history junior year, which is when the majority of our students take US history, we get sort of to contemporary history, right? It totally depends on the year, the snow days, the How much time did it take to write the research paper? So, you know, everybody's learning about Reagan. That's not contemporary. That's where we're starting this course actually for a reason, because we sort of like, it depends on your teacher. It depends how fast they move. Some teachers are able to get to 9/11, for example, and do some really robust things with that, which is, you know, that's pretty recent-ish. But we really wanted to give kids a chance to look at more recent history that they might not have been exposed to in depth in their US history class, even though we know that kids are most engaged with things that are closer to their own time. I think for us, I will tell you guys a funny little story, which is when it was we previously used to teach this course, and the description was, this is for contemporary world history. The Cold War, as in right after World War II, and that class typically would make it to Reagan. So we were teaching a course, I kid you not, that was called Contemporary US History, that mostly just covered the Cold War through Reagan. And this was like, you know, when I first got to Brookline High in 2005, we were like, we did it, we made it to the 80s. So the only difference in this class and what we were offering is we're starting it later because it's, you know, later, time is passing. And also there is a real, if you look at the course description, I tried to give examples of potential topics. These were just generated by history teachers. We don't know exactly. Like, I think there's going to be a really cool element with seniors to decide on some of those themes. We also know that what's happening, you know, can impact, like, well, what do kids want to know about? You know, 9/11 is a really interesting topic. Will it be taught every year? I don't know. Like, electives don't quite work that way, but I think I've given you a good, really good example of the types of topics that they might consider. Some of you might feel like me, how could this be in a history class? I remember that. That was another funny thing in our meeting when teachers were like, wait, what? How is that a thing that we're going to be teaching in history class? So you might recognize your own history in the course. That's definitely the point of it. It'll be a semester elective. It will not cost anything. It's really just going to run if kids are interested in it. That's it. Like, it's not, there's not some sort of big push to fund anything. Our teachers are all, part of my process was to choose a course not only that we thought, you know, helped us in our 9th through 12th grade scope and sequence, but also that I could guarantee, because I'm not doing this through the Innovation Fund, we're not doing this through, we don't have the money to pay a teacher, you know, summer hours to prepare the course. Another big question when pitching was, how many of you feel like you could teach this starting tomorrow? Like, without having to do a lot. And I think that did impact teachers' decisions. You know, someone pitched sociology, which is a great class. Lots of people interested. A lot of people were like, I'd have to do a lot of work preparing to teach a sociology class. We don't all have that background, which is actually a problem we have with psychology. So this one also, I will say, the reason why I think it's really great is that we can teach this tomorrow. Any one of us, any teacher in my department could teach this class well and have the skills to do that. So yeah, so essentially I'm here to just sort of hopefully get you guys to agree that it'd be nice to have a history option for our seniors that we know has been really popular, you know, at Brookline High at different times, and teachers miss the course, and we're hoping kids will be interested in it too. It'll be honors standard. You can take it for either or semester, which is going to help us too, because we only have a couple of classes now that run as semester classes. So it'll give students a more robust option to be like, I'll pair it with economics or I'll pair it with philosophy. Right now there's only economics and philosophy. So it allows kids also to do that. And then there's another kind of interesting benefit as well that isn't the reason why we're pitching it, but might be interesting for you all to know. US history is a graduation requirement for the state of Massachusetts. We do occasionally get situations where a kid might have had, maybe they had a medical leave for part of a US history, part of their junior year, and now they need a full credit of US, and we don't have any way to offer them that other than take US again. That's literally the only option. There is no other option. This would allow us to be like, actually, you can get a half credit of US. If you've got the half credit somewhere else from another school or through us and something has happened, this is a really good solution for that. So that's definitely not, the teacher pitching it didn't have that in mind, but I can tell you from my perspective, it's just another really good, I don't know, kind of safety moment for us to deal with these kind of rare, but you know, 1 or 2 a year. Kid maybe wants to go abroad for half the year. That happens sometimes. And we want to be able to give them that opportunity. And we could say, great, take contemporary next year. That'll cover your second half of your US year. So Those are the reasons. I will say I'm also staying on because after you ask me questions about this, John and John will mostly do the pitching on this, but there's also a combined English history course that kind of replaces our legal studies class and introduces a new element to English that's coming through the Innovation Fund that was presented last night by two excellent teachers. So I'm going to sort of stay on as John presents and also stay for that if you have questions about that one, since it involves both of us. So that's it from me. Questions?
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. And I was able to keep up with you as fast as you talk. That's good.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I was with you. I got it all, I think. Questions, comments from committee members or guests? Stephen?
I'll just say that thank you for this presentation, and that that was very informative, and this is an obvious no-brainer for the school committee.
great.
Hey, Jen,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. So you mentioned that there's a standard and honors option, if I heard correctly. Are
Yes.
these co-situated classes, or would be two different classes?
All of our senior electives that offer standard honors are in the same room.
In
So
the
it follows
same.
actually similar model to what I'm doing. The course you all approved last year, by the way, going great, AP African American Studies. First time we've ever tried to do AP and honors in the same room, which is it's been a really great experience actually, but similar to that. And that's true for all of our senior offerings, except for AP Government and AP Geography, which are just AP. Everything else offers both levels in one room.
Thank you.
Because I can't
What?
resist. I
Yeah.
wanted to say thank you. I think it's so important to know modern day history.
Right?
Yeah, I remember when I went to school in the Dark Ages, we had a course on current events.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
similar sort of thing. And we
Totally,
used
totally.
Time magazine as our book at the time.
I love that, Helen. I think we are trying to capture not just the kids who love history, but also kids who might be interested in discussing current events, right? There's definitely
Sure.
going to be an element of that. There's no question that there'll be some interesting stuff coming out of that.
I'll make the
throw in
motion.
Yeah, which I was just gonna say, you could throw in Heather Cox Richardson and combine past history to current history, and
Yeah. My mother subscribes to her stuff. Yeah, she's really interesting. Yeah.
it's really interesting. Helen, you want to move?
Yeah, I'd like to move this course. I
Okay.
forget the title. I'm sorry.
Contemporary U.S. history.
Contemporary, I should remember that. Okay.
Jesse, is that a second?
Sure is.
Okay. Helen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you.
Thank
So-
you.
Yeah. So John, we're now going to turn to English, and you want to start with the humanities interdisciplinary criminal justice course.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's nice to see you all. I got some edits on the document last night after the Innovation Fund presentation, so I put those into a new document. I don't know if that's shown up, but the course is now called Justice in Action. That seems to be the term for it right now. This is a course that, thank you very much, Betsy. That's great. This is a course that Marcy Miller, who's been teaching legal studies for a long time, is proposing with Rob Primer, who's been teaching film and fiction for a long time. And the two of them have been talking about the intersection already of their classes, how they share many of the same students. And they've come up with an idea that I think works in a really exciting way for us, that's going to have these two English and social studies classes working together to think about criminal justice and the justice system in our country. They've designed a course that's interconnected, sort of like our American Studies course right now, where two teachers are teaching an English and a history class that are connected but not in the same room at the same time. This will allow them to do some really exciting work looking at criminal justice, but also would allow a really powerful job shadowing and internship model in the third quarter, where Marcy has already developed a wealth of connections with judges and lawyers and all sorts of people that she thinks she can get kids to do job shadowing with in the third quarter. And having the two blocks working together will give kids some time, I think, to do that in a supported way that we just can't pull off the same way now. They've designed a pretty thoughtful course that builds on case studies. They're going to think about the O.J. Simpson trial for a month or two, and they're going to think about the Charles Stewart case here in Boston for a month or two. They're going to work, they're going to expand the work that Marcy's already doing with the Brookline Police. They do I don't know, police academy, I think they call it, where kids have been going to, kids in her legal studies class have been going to meet with officers for sort of a course or instruction on what policing looks like and what it means. With this double blocked system, we'll be able to bring those officers into the school to do it during school time and not in the evening, the way kids are doing it now. So I think it's a really exciting model for our senior year. It will probably cut into our film and fiction enrollment a little bit. It will probably draw many of the same kids who took legal studies. One of the challenges of it is that students will have to sign up for both an English and history class that are working together. They couldn't just do the history side or just do the social studies or just do the English side. They have to do both together. But that's something that we're doing already in 11th grade, so I think it's feasible. I think it's an opportunity for us to have a 12th grade English class. This would be a credit English class for the students tied with this social studies elective that has a job, internship, and career path connected to it. And that's not something that we have in any of our other 12th grade classes. So I'm curious about it. I'm excited about it. They are waiting to hear from the Innovation Fund if there's some funding to support their planning of it and some time for them to work on this in the first year in a course release model. But I'm behind it wholeheartedly. I think it's a great opportunity for these very experienced teachers to do something that they're very passionate about and that I think kids will be interested in. So that's the first one.
And why don't we, if you don't mind, why don't we take some questions on that?
Absolutely. I think we should probably do them one at a time.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, John, I think that's a good idea. I see some questions. Before I go to them, could you just talk a little bit about complete 4 observation hours a week to replace 3 days of class?
Yeah, so this is the job.
Just in the third quarter, okay.
Third quarter. That's the job shadowing part that would happen in the third quarter. So they would have 2 quarters of pretty traditional schoolwork and learning and study. And then, as Marcy said, sometimes seniors are ready to go out of the building and do some other things. And so this is a way for them to do some supervised experience in a career path that might be interesting to them, and that's grounded in the learning that they did first semester. Then in the fourth quarter, when they have a shortened fourth quarter, both classes have a pretty big project that draws on the observation work that they did in that time they were out of school, for either a mock trial experience in their social studies class or for a large paper that sort of mirrors or draws on the same skills as our senior paper currently does. So I think it's pretty thought out. I wonder about that too. I'm curious about how that time's going to look. I think there's a lot of work in supervising kids in that sort of job shadowing experience. So I hope that they know what they're getting into, but it will require a lot of support. And I also know that Marcy has built the partnerships already that can absorb 40 to 60 kids in that sort of job shadowing model. She's really done the footwork already. She has an impressive list of the contacts that she's made in nearby courts and law firms and with Brookline Police.
I would add, if this is helpful to know, that in legal studies, we have a somewhat similar model, not quite as robust as what they're proposing, but Marcy has already had to contend with a quarter 3. It's not quite internship level, but the police academy, for example, happens. And so kids are excused from class so that they can attend police academy, in the evenings, for example, and students have to complete journals. So they have to record the time, they have to reflect on it. The teacher, in the case of legal studies, and I'm sure would be the case in this course as well, they'll be reading their the progress that they're making in their journals and responding to prompts and things like that. So it's a combination of, yes, you're going to get your real world experience, and also the teachers kind of, like John said, it's actually a behemoth to keep track of, but kids are also being expected to produce some work while they're doing it, so that when they return to class, they're able to kind of have done some of that reflection before they return.
Thank you, Jen. You said that better than I did.
I'll just quickly offer, because I got to hear the Innovation Fund pitch last night along with John. both teachers talked about how they were going to incorporate that third quarter experience into the fourth quarter project so that students can balance academic learning about the field with their own personal observational experience.
Thank you. Stephen and then Helen.
Hi, I have a question and a follow-up question to it. Nice to see you, John.
Your name,
Can you
please.
just say what the Citizen Police Academy is and how it functioned out of school and how it's going to function differently in school?
Sure. As I learned about it yesterday when I attended the Innovation Fund presentation. As I understand it, students have been in legal studies. Students go once a week to an evening class for like an hour and a half, where they meet with different officers to talk about different aspects of citizenship and policing, how policing works. They talk about different aspects of police work and police jobs. It's all happened off campus and it's been after hours. And so I think their hope is that with this model, they'll be able to invite the officers to come in and do that during a school day instead of having it be an evening activity. In the past, that has meant with the evening activity that some kids haven't been able to participate in it because of family responsibilities or sports or other things. And so with this double class extra time, in a way, they'll be able to embed those 8 sessions that currently are happening in the evening within the school day, and that would be beneficial for the kids and for the police who are doing the training.
Okay, thank you for that. So you know, obviously, that having police in schools has been a pretty controversial and divisive topic in PSB, culminating with the removal of the SROs a few years ago. Can you just say a little bit about how you and Marcy have thought through that issue and how that affects this proposal?
I haven't thought through it with Marcy, so I don't know if I can speak for her on that. I appreciate your concern about it, and I wonder about that too. I think Marcy thinks that it is something that we can navigate and handle. I don't know if Jen wants to weigh in on this.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, you know, it's interesting because regardless of how you stand on the issue, the reason why I don't think it's the same thing is because having a resource officer, you know, from the moment that school opens to when it closes, as a resource within the school is something very different than inviting professionals from any kind of job. It doesn't matter whether they're from the police, whether it's a lawyer, a judge, somebody who's coming to speak to my African American studies class, a scholar. That to me rings very differently. So I personally, even for people who maybe did not support having an officer in the school, that I think it would be, I would certainly stand behind our teachers in saying that police officers are part of our community and they serve a purpose. And if they're going to come to teach our new course about their job, and that's part of the course. First of all, kids are signing up to hear that. They know beforehand that that's what part of the experience will be. And they're guests at the school to come and talk about their professional lives. So to me, they're not synonymous with each other, but I appreciate the point you're trying to make. I would assume that, and I would never speak for Marcy, but I have known her for many, many years. She's one of my dearest friends, but I would guess that in a slightly different tone, she would have said something similar to what I just said, but I'll confirm with her tomorrow when I tell her how I answered the question.
Okay, I guess I would just say that given how divisive this has been in the past, it is an issue that requires great care and great thoughtfulness. So I appreciate your answers on this.
Yeah, and I would just add, we have been doing Police Academy for as long as legal studies has been a class, which I've been here for more than, this is my 20th year. And I think it started pretty quickly as when I arrived. So I just want to say, like, students, Brookline students have been going to this class for over a decade, if not longer. So
right, and I'm certainly not objecting to Police Academy at all, but the change would be of having it as a night class to having police in school during school hours, which is a change. So I just having thought through this and having considered this in the light of the change that had been made a few years ago, it does seem worth doing to me.
I noticed, Gabe, that your hand was up. Were you going to join this conversation or did you have something else?
No, it was connected to this. I think it's notable and worth mentioning that the Brookline Police on the Brookline Police website also describes this program that they offer. and how it is really designed to inform citizens of the role of police and the variety of things they do. They're pretty explicit about what it is and what it is not.
Thank you. Helen, yeah, I see your hand.
So, and I wanted to just support Jen's comments about this is a very different way of looking at police and what they do. And our police force probably has at least a quarter, if not more, of Brookline High School graduates, you know? So these are our kids who have gone on to become, and they like to hire Brookline High School graduates. So
and they are parents of students.
Yes, that too. So it goes always. I just was curious about if I could ask two questions or maybe one question. This course, is it meant to run only if there's funding, and when would it run?
I think the plan is for them to have it up and running next year. I think they need the funding over the summer to plan it. To do some deeper dive into it, and they feel like they need to do the collaborative part. They need some time in the day for the first year at least to make it happen the best way it can. So I think they are hinging on innovation funding to move forward with it. I think it's a good class and I can support it whether we have innovation funding or not. I don't know if they feel like they can make it happen next year without the innovation funding.
I think also just to quickly piggyback on that, it would be staffed the same way American Studies is staffed now, where it's 2 teachers and 2 blocks. It's not 2 teachers during the same block, right? It's a regular staffing model.
It's no extra cost to the department in the actual running of it. I think they're worried a little bit about the planning part of it, but once it's up and running, it's just another elective class that will pull kids away from one elective class in our 12th grade English program, but it will continue to serve the same number of kids. So it's not adding any cost to the school long-term.
And that's really important. The one other thing, is Hal okay with trying to schedule a course like this into the middle of the day?
Helen, don't ask Hal any questions. I think this is it.
I'm glad you asked the question, Helen.
I already said yes.
I mean,
Talk
I know
about
what
how
happens when you try to put together the full schedule and it becomes a nightmare to have to.
Sure.
Yeah, it will cause some problems, but once we develop a cohort of the 24, 25 kids that'll take it, we'll figure out where it'll run best, and with the minimal conflicts, it shouldn't be that difficult.
But it also has to be at a time when those people that they're interning with are available.
Correct. Yeah, it's going to run most likely at the end of the day in blocks that typically at the end of the day. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's a great question, and I think the teachers have already been investigating that with Hal and talking about an F&G combo that will make that happen. So you're totally right about the logistics of it. I think they're 2 steps ahead of us in thinking through that.
Yeah, we already do that with the legal studies class now. They do run an F&G now for exactly that reason. So this would just be a different pairing going at during F&G.
We would continue to offer legal studies if somebody wanted to just
No, this is definitely replacing legal studies for us. But to be honest, one of the interesting things is it doesn't change legal studies dramatically. It's going to attract the same kids, definitely. If anything, it's going to make it more appealing to them that their English class is linked to this.
Right.
And it's going to provide for, I think, a richer experience. The teachers also did some research on overlap. Like Marcy realized that a bunch of her legal studies kids take Rob's fiction and film class, which is also why if you're reading the description, they're thinking about, could they do screenwriting? Could they use movies to teach it? Like knowing that that's the population of kids who tends to want to take it in the first place. But no, we wouldn't offer it in addition to, it would be instead of. And I would say for us, that's not a major change, but I think for English, it's a little bit, it's a really new course that has never been offered before. But we know that kids are interested because we often have more kids wanting legal studies than we can run sections of legal studies. So I think it's going to be very popular. If I had to guess, I think Hal's being a naive if he thinks it's 25, a cohort of 25. I mean, maybe is that as many as we'll allow?
How many sections would you run of this?
I think their dream number is 2 sections of each. So it's a 2 and 2. So it's 2 English, 2 social studies that are back to back with each other so that you could pull all 40 or 50 kids together for a meeting with someone who comes in and give a presentation, and then have
Very
2.
logical. Yeah, that's great.
That's the dream. I think that's the best version of it. But again, enrollment, it's always about enrollment and who shows up for these things. But I think they've done their legwork, and they're looking at the kids who are currently in both their similar classes right now, that we could probably draw 40 to 60 kids.
I wholeheartedly support it. Thank you.
You want to move it, Helen?
Yeah. I'll move
Okay.
the, drop down the thing so I can say the name of what the course is.
Justice in Action.
Thank you. Justice in Action, Unpacking Crime, Law, and Consequence.
There you go.
Seconded, Suzanne.
Thank you, Jesse. Stephen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Helen?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, well, we're good. I think we've got one more. Is that true?
Yes.
Karen? The good, the bad, and the awkward.
Yep. Thank you, Jen, for sticking around. She's probably gone already.
She
So I'm out. I should say that I had initially planned on talking about an AP language class for next year, but I think I need to use this spring to do some research and convince some more people about it. I had hoped that it was something that we could offer for next year and I could bring to you, but my department and the rest of my school isn't quite there yet. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to bring that back to you next year. The course I am bringing to you, the other course I am bringing to you is from Peter Sedlak. Peter Sedlak took a course this summer through the National Endowment for the Humanities, connected to BU, I think, on friendship and literature. And it was taught by a former BHS teacher, Karen Harris. And it was a summer program for teachers from around the country to explore and think about literature and film and ways to use that to talk about friendship. Which seems like a very poignant class that we need right now. I think that we know kids are having struggles with mental health. I think that post-COVID, we see a higher indication of loneliness and a sense of disconnection than we have before. That the idea of a course that's addressing and thinking about friendship, not as a let's all be in a class and be friends together, but rather as a let's explore the concepts of friendship, think about how friendships work at different ages, look at literature through a lens of friendship, could be a really powerful course for our kids right now. Peter's proposing a course that would be like our current Asian American literature class. You can see a description of it right there. Asian American literature class is a new class that we offered recently that includes 11th and 12th graders together. And so they're taking it as their English credit within the 11th grade or within the 12th grade years, but it counts as that class, that English credit for them. There's some descriptions of the materials he's thinking about for this course. I would like him to offer it, and I think he will offer it as an earned honors class. So it'll have some students who are taking the class not for honors credit, but others who, based on the work they do and the assignments they choose, can earn an honors credit connected to it. I'm working out with him what it means in terms of our core 11th grade readings. So I want to make sure that they're still reading The Great Gatsby and that they're reading something by Toni Morrison. Our 11th graders usually read Song of Solomon and The Great Gatsby. I think both of those books fit in a model of a discussion of friendship. And I think the timing will work out when the seniors leave, they can read Great Gatsby. But that's me worrying about English stuff. I'm excited for the course. Again, I think it's a course that addresses sort of how kids are feeling and doing right now in a way that our more literature-based courses may not be doing. It's built on some great work from Karen Harris and Peter's work over the summer. So there we are. That's what we.
Thank you. Comments, questions? I just had one, John. When I was at the high school at one point, I sat in very briefly on a film class.
Mm-hmm.
Was that an English class? That was a film class?
We have a fiction and film class that we offer
Okay.
that we've offered probably for 7 or 8 years.
So that's also an English class that's like for 11th and 12th?
5th class, yep.
Okay, thank you. Carolyn and then Jesse.
Thanks. Do you want to let Jesse go ahead because I'm not on the subcommittee? I mean, I don't mind, but.
It's fine, Carolyn, go ahead.
Okay, and I don't want to deflect from that. This sounds great. All of what we've been hearing sounds great and exciting. John, I am interested. I had seen the AP course on the agenda, and I had seen a sort of parent request going around for that. Can you say any more about sort of why that didn't make it to the agenda?
I'm an advocate for this course, and it's a course I believe, the AP course is a course I believe in. I have a teacher who's ready to teach it. I have some parent and student voices that are strongly advocating for it. And I have a lot of resistance from others within my department and from other parts of the school that makes me think we need to take a little more time to build consensus around this and to get people on board with it. I think it's a course that we could offer that would be very helpful for kids, but I'm not ready to shove it down throats of others who are not there yet. So I feel like I need to slow a little bit and use this spring to build the plan for it. I want to offer it in 26-27. I think if we can use this spring to do some solid work, maybe I can get more people on board with that, and we can start next fall with the assumption that it will be on our curriculum for 26-27. I'm with you, Carolyn. I think it's a good class. I think we should be offering it, but I don't think my department and the rest of the school is ready for it yet.
Okay, Jesse?
Yeah, hi. That's exactly my question as well.
Okay. Helen?
I
Peter?
was excited to see it there, John, and I am on board with you. I'm just sort of pretty surprised that things swiggled around so quickly without any explanation before the meeting.
Okay. Helen, then Stephen?
Yeah, I was neutral on the course. I mean, I think it's interesting. I'm not a writer, so it's not my thing, but I think there are kids who really enjoy that, and that's what their career will be eventually. I guess I'm a little confused as to what would be the opposition to it. I mean, it seems pretty neutral.
I think great conversation for us to have in a different setting, and I would
Got
love.
it. Never mind.
No, I'm serious. I'm going to try to get a working group this spring to do some work on this, and I would love to bring some of you in to talk about that with other teachers and with other people in our school about it.
Okay.
But it's definitely a thing we need to talk more about.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. I appreciate your support and your voices in this.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add that in the same way that in, like, say, math or history, we want to take kids to the highest launching point for college in those areas, English and writing is as important in terms of expression and communication. And so it's sort of a no-brainer, but we need some more talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate what you said.
Stephen?
I just wanted to say that I think that that proposed course sounds really fascinating, and I'm really happy to hear it proposed. I just, out of sheer curiosity, do you still teach Huck Finn? Is that still taught, or is that too problematic a text these days? I have no idea. I'm just really curious.
I have not told anyone they can't. In fact, Hal Mason keeps asking me if he can, but I think most teachers have backed away from it. I think the current thinking is that the language in it is too charged for us to teach an 11th grade class right now. I think there's a place for Huck Finn in other settings, but I don't know an English teacher who's going to take that on right now. I think there are other great pieces of literature that do similar work to Huck Finn, and I can have that conversation another time too.
This is not advocacy on my part. I was just curious.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. Helen, you want to move this?
Sure. I'll move the friendship in literature and film.
Jesse, you want to second? Okay, Stephen, thank you.
What, he got ahead of me there? Oops.
I think he did, Jesse. Yeah,
It's okay. Quick. 3 for 4 is not bad.
You want to make the motion, Jesse? It's okay. I don't need to make all of them.
We could be friends. No more, no problem.
I do just a quick question before I the vote. John, this is budget neutral?
This is budget neutral. That's right.
Okay. So that means what you do is you look to see who's taking what, and you might move a teacher from a current to this new. right?
That's right.
Okay.
It only runs if we have enough students who are willing to take it.
And
Right.
how many sections would you run?
I think we're looking for one.
And what does this replace for a student in their, I'm sorry, I didn't ask this question.
Yeah, so we have a range of 12th grade options. If a student chose to take this as a senior, then it would bump them from taking either EPIC or our fiction and film class or British literature, or we have a writers of color class. So we have a lot of 12th grade choices that this would sort of enter into the realm with. If we offer it as a mixed level course of, a mixed grade of 11th and 12th grade, some kids might take it as their American literature course in 11th grade. And so I need to work with Peter to make sure that it hits all the points I want an American Lit course to do. And we've already begun that conversation. That's currently happening in our Asian American Lit class that also has 11th and 12th graders. So budget neutral, make sure it hits American Lit expectations.
Okay, thank you so much, Jen. I think we'll take the vote. Helen,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So thank you for that, John. You had a lot to cover.
Nice to see you. Have a good night.
Have a great night. Thank you for all your work, that's for sure. We have one last item, and that is there any new business? And
I'll actually have some new business at our next meeting, but one of the things that the high school is exploring is dual enrollment with Mass Bay Community College. So it's a pretty exciting tuition-free experience and chance for some of our students to earn college credit. So that'll be something we'll discuss further.
that's great. Is Mass Bay, that's in Wellesley, right there at the,
Yes.
that's the case?
Yep.
Okay, great. Is that with Britt? Or no?
No, that's actually the administration is bringing that forward, Hal and Anthony.
Okay, great. Hal, you have your
Just
hand
a
up?
quick question about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, I'll
that's
defer
first.
to Helen. It's about a different subject altogether.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
okay,
Helen?
so a quick question about this. Just 1 second, sorry. How do the students get there?
That's one of our actual concerns that we'll discuss more is the access. Our hope is that if we have enough students that are interested in this option, that Mass Bay could potentially come and teach some classes here at the high school.
You can easily get to Mass Bay on the Green Line. You take the D to Riverside, and there's a regular shuttle that runs between Riverside and Mass Bay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, I look forward to that. That's great. Hal, you have something?
So this is separate from the Mass Bay thing. I believe this is the group that needs to be constituted to begin talking about MCAS, what we're doing about MCAS, and what we're doing about graduation requirements now in the void of MCAS. I know some districts
We're
are
just
having,
talking about that.
yeah, they've been having some interesting conversations in other districts about what they're using, and I'm just putting it out there that we should be getting together at some point soon to have those conversations.
Okay, is that on the whiteboard, Jody?
It's on the whiteboard, and Stephen, just so you're aware that we're being advised to whatever we decide to make a policy so we'll also extend into the policy subcommittee.
Great.
Maybe you could share ahead of time with us the requirements presently for graduating Brookline High, which I think are somewhat bare, but I don't remember.
For sure, we can share those with you.
Yeah, so that we have a basis from what to go on. And the plan is for the kids the 10th graders still to take the MCAS, correct?
Well, yes, if the kids have to take the test. It's still a requirement, just as it is the K-8s. They have to take the test. What it means in terms of the kids in 10th grade taking it and tracking kids down who are resistant to taking it is an unknown, and how that's going to change, and what will change about the administration. And then, there is no then makeup exam for the test. I mean, they're still scheduled as of now to have makeup exams, but there doesn't seem to be any purpose for makeup exams or retests as we run many of now, or formerly did.
Well, it should all be part of the conversation, I guess. And yeah, okay. So
There's actually two
why
parts.
to the
Oh, sorry, Susan. Suzanne.
so
There's two parts to this. There's the graduation requirement, and then there's the competency determination. And what we need to work on is the competency determination, which MCAS used to serve as.
Right.
And so we need to determine what
Okay.
our competency determination is going to be moving forward.
And is that part of the portrait of a graduate?
There are two separate streams of work, I think. One needs to be done a little bit more quickly, but I do think Portrait of a Graduate, if we had one in place, could be very informative for that, yes.
well, I don't want to go too deep into this now because there'll be people that are interested in this conversation. So I would hope that we'll schedule this soon on a subcommittee agenda meeting.
Right.
Sorry if I missed this, Jody. What's the timeline for districts to have to come up with a replacement for the MCAS?
By graduation this year, we need to have that competency determination because we will need to certify that our graduates are competent.
Well, but this year's graduates already took it and took the replacement tests, so it's not such an issue.
But it's not
Most.
a requirement
I have a
anymore.
number of students that were new students to the district, new students to Massachusetts. I have a few students that we were still pushing through that might have needed to still pass a test or two. So there would be some separate CD needed. Some of those kids did take those tests. So I did offer the tests on, ironically or comically ironically, on the 2 days after the election with my retest. So I was running retests and I had kids come in. This was, new seniors and some new juniors who came in and sat for that math test and sat for that English test in those days right after the election, right after the proposition vote. So they have taken those, but there are still other kids who have not taken those, and many of those kids would not have taken the science exam because the science exam as a retest is only offered in February.
So
And even if, sorry,
is
Helen.
this our next issue for next month?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the important part here is to look at sort of the notion of the coursework, and will that course, how does our coursework then, how do we endorse our coursework to say that the kids have met the requirements for graduation? So that's sort of the broad umbrella. And OTL and the high school will then work together to say, this is what we believe the path is this is the path to that credentialing in that way. Sorry, Carolyn.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just curious. So even though kids took the MCAS, is that, I mean, we've now, the state has said, are we going to use that as, or is it just like, it doesn't matter anyway, because now it's not?
Now, the kids who took MCAS prior to the date that the legislation became effective was mid-December. Any kids who took the test before that have earned their CD, and therefore, no matter what we do, they've earned their CD via that state process, and therefore they can.
Okay, because they took the test.
There is a small
before.
number, like I'm saying, who will be for this year that we will need to have an alternate measure for, and obviously going forward, we need to have that alternate measure.
Thanks.
Okay, I think that's it for today. I look forward to what's coming up soon in our meetings. And we're done a few minutes early. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for the.
Could I ask one more question? Have we dropped any courses for this year?
No. Probably we will. I don't think we're going to pull them out of the catalog yet, but one of the implications of some of the courses that John is adding is that we will move out some of our struggling senior English courses. They almost certainly will wither, and whether we keep them in the catalog or not is hard to say. But and obviously legal studies will get pulled out if this course replaces legal studies. But otherwise, no major changes to the catalog. And there may be down the road, there'll be some changes, say in career and tech, if these courses take off like we expect them to.
Okay, thank you.
I would expect a few sections maybe to be dropped, right? Maybe not.
Sure. Oh, but that's the case always.
Right.
So we always have a variable number of sections, especially with something like senior electives.
Right. Okay. Last word. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening, and thanks for the work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy.
Everyone.